And you're seeing this like movie play out. They're just getting harassed, everybody wants to drink, they want to be alone. That's the same thing in your aquarium. If you have 10 males to 2 females, they will harass them and stress them out to punch them.
That is terrible. The thing we like to do, a lot of people, like a 2-to-1 ratio at least. At least 2 females for 1 male.
And for smaller tanks, you can go worst 1 male, 3 females.
Yeah.
If you're doing like because these fish can be guppies can be perfectly fine 4 fish in 10 gallon. That certainly works because guppies are a lot smaller than they used to be. And 3 females to one male. Otherwise, what you can do, seeing you got these Sri Lanka guppies, is unless stored asked, you will even sell the females.
No. Here's part of the problem we're having from some of the overseas producers is they're somehow chemically sterilizing the females. If you can bring in 150 females, the males will hit them all day long, and maybe you'll get 6 babies.
And they'll crap out.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I don't know what they're doing, but what they're doing is they're making sure they have somebody to sell to. They don't want anybody else breeding them.
So I've done research on this on the internet. I've also messaged some people that I know from overseas, and no company to against overseas companies, so they're really farming environments. And they'll literally radiate them for a short period of time. They'll really put them underneath gamma radiation like an X-ray machine, radiate them slightly so they'll stay sterile, but not enough to kill them.
Yeah, and that's a terrible thing that they do. The amount of female guppies that I personally sell compared to male guppies, I might sell 100 male guppies to 20 female guppies just because everybody wants the pretty fish.
So again, we hold those back, and that's been working a lot of pet stores we've been working with. And they'll have customers come in, well, I want females, and that's the opportunity when they request it to educate the customer and let them know that hey, we will harass and make sure you have the correct ratio. And then if the pet store still wants them, we're happy to supply them, and then put them in a separate tank so they can just grab them.
Yeah, and I've got some people that will come into the stores and say, I'd like to breed some. My kids would like to breed them for a science fair project. And then that's when I always turn around and I go to the Florida guppies. I've got different suppliers, different places we can buy stuff from. The Florida guppies come in and they're very fertile, and they'll have lots of babies, and that will make everybody that has a tank much more interested in the tank when we have little babies. I have people that come in, they're so excited that they've got 30 little babies, and all they want to do next is buy another tank.
Absolutely. So this is not necessarily strict to guppies. Platies, mollies, swordtails, they all have somewhat of the same issue. Guppies are the worst. If you have a lot of males and females, it will stress them up to the point of death. Platies, mollies, and swordtails not as bad, but they certainly stress them out, and 2-to-1 ratio, like we said before. But with the mollies, platies, and swordtails, the females have a nice color.
Yes, I agree. When you have a black molly female and male look pretty much identical. But as you get into the guppies, the females are very plain. They're kind of like a peacock. When I say peacock, I'm talking about the bird, where the male's very beautiful and the female's rather plain.
Brown, if you will. But so the only difference is again, platies and mollies. You'll see that the same you had before. Penis. So I'm just going to call it the fish penis, but no, it's the Gonapodium. Thank you. So you can identify any of these species, Gonapodium, Gonapodium. But the swordtails have a unique characteristic. When they're full adults, the males actually have a protruding sword out the bottom of their back fin. And also now new species have male tail where they have 2 spikes out of the back tail for the males.
Yeah.
So that's another way to sex them out. And again, when you have these, platies, mollies, and swordtails all even have colors. So it's much easier when you say, hey, pick 2-to-1. They'll easily do it because they all have color. So we don't have a problem stocking up tanks at pet stores. And we just make sure it's a high number of female. So when we take a student and have a kid that doesn't know what he's doing, odds are they're going to do it.
Right. And what's also interesting about which is kind of nice about the female guppy, is that because she's just usually kind of a plain gray, you might get a tail that has a little bit of yellow or orange on it. But from the side view, when you're looking at it, as she becomes more gravid, and gravid is when she's carrying babies. and as she becomes more rabid, her stomach gets a little black spot in the back, and it just gets darker and darker the closer that she gets to giving birth.
So on these particular ones, the easiest to breed because you can see that spot and see when they're going to hold or get closer to actually getting birth is the guppy because again, the body normally a silver color, they're a little more see-through, so that black dot definitely intrudes, and you can see a nice fat female ready to go. So do you have what's the gestation period on puppy?
You know, it's
14 days?
no, it's actually 30. But if the water temperature does again have an effect on it, if you're in hotter water, the gestation probably more like 25 days. If the water's cold, let's say for some reason you have it in a room without a heater, in the room 70 degrees, it's probably going to be 45. So I think the average is about 30.
So when you're breeding these fish, they'll continually breed their entire life. And even if you take the male out, they're capable of holding the sperm
Yes.
for 2 more batches.
At least I've had some up to 4 to 6 batches. They will store the sperm. They only need to hit once by the male. And if you're watching your guppy's breed, he just kind of pulls up alongside of the female.
His tripod
His tripod
goes to the left,
swings over like he's taking a left.
and then he literally fans them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a NASCAR move.
And we're just trying to cut them off the road.
Trying to run him in the ditch. I'm not sure what they're doing.
So after you see this fish, you watch it grow bigger, and you'll get an idea of when they start dropping the live young. You could watch them. That's the fun thing for kids. Watch them give live birth. They'll go to a corner, they'll kind of stay still, and they'll hover, and they will actually give live tiny babies. So when they're getting that of a certain size, you can prepare and put them into a couple different solutions. You can put a breeding basket in your aquarium, which is think of like a plastic crate that's covered by mosquito net. You put the female in there, she has the babies. As soon as you see the babies, you take the babies out. It's not exactly my favorite solution.
Yeah, you know, I'm crazy. I take the female after the baby's in there. That's what I would normally do.
What I recommend is, especially if you're doing this either the first time or just doing this casually, is you could go on Amazon and type in breeder box, and you'll see these fantastic. There's a ton of different name brands on this. What it is essentially, it's a plastic floater that sits on the top of your tank. It's independent, it's free floating, and you put your female into it. And there's 2 grades. So the top section where the female sits, and the lower section with a grate that the babies screw down into it. So when your female's getting close, maybe it's going to be the next few days, you take your female, put her in the breeder box. When she gives the babies, they'll drop below, and you can just take her out anytime they have more of a safe space because the females will eat a couple.
Yeah, Rob was explaining about I think they're called like breeder boxes. They have the bottom of it is like a V with a small little opening. And so the babies, when they come out, they're kind of like a normal human baby. They're kind of unresponsive. And they'll slide down the hole, and then they'll kind of come to and shake it off. And then the babies will stay at the bottom and stay away from the thing. So it works very well.
The natural activity when they're born is they get born, they come to it, and they will hide the weeds.
Yeah.
They don't stay there, they get infections, which is the problem why you can't breed in your tank. So say you have, let's make this up, 40-gallon tank with 4 females and 2 males because you listened to us and decided to try to get the fish rats. And they decide to drop their babies. It's inevitable that they're going to drop the babies, and you're not going to catch every batch. So they drop the babies, you'll see the little ones floating around. Try to catch them when you can with your net.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Put them in a breeding basket. But some people will say, well, just put plastic weeds in them because they have a cover. Well, that's guaranteeing probably 2/3 of your stock is going to be.
Yeah, it's just, I love baby fish. And the more I can save, the happier I am.
That comes from a true fish breeder right there. Make sure you explore it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I don't know if I ever told you about how I used to do commercial.
So you taught me this. This was the one of the fun.
I don't know if I ever told you about how I used to do commercial.
So you taught me this. This was the one of the fun.
I don't know if I ever told you about how I used to do commercial. So you taught me. This was the one of the fun. I don't know if I ever told you about how I used to do commercial. So you taught me.
Audio device disconnected. Audio device connected. Pairing. Audio device connected.
Is use needed gummies. And again, there's one of these issues where you couldn't get them before the time stock. All right, let's grab some more gummies that we have instead. Let's see what we agree. Okay, I just get out 3D box. We go hard fashion. Things like that. This is you're gonna do this on skate. So what he does is you go hard and get these giant Rubbermaid 150, 300 gallon.
300.
They're basically a cattle trough for their purchase. You can get them at your local Menards or hardware store, and we fill up with water. We put an aerator and heat in it, and we put these pop. So we get them on. Or you can get them on Amazon as well. And these are just the fabric mesh pop up and little tiny holes. What you do is you take, say, 2 of these anchors, you put it in this 150 gallon cattle trough. You put all the adults in the hampers, probably a couple males that you want your select, studs, a bunch of females, and you cover them. You feed them, they breed, and in the darkness, as they, deliver the babies, the babies will swim out of the basket, and you just catch it along the sides. Now, a good 150 gallon tank, this is blue whale limit, you could easily get 100, 150 babies a day on full working.
Yeah, when we were cranking them out, and we spent a lot of money. We went over to our local, I believe it was like a Home Depot type place. We bought 7 300 gallon horse troughs. And the reason we bought 7 is that's all we had room for. And they were about 6 foot long. And so by trial and error, we tried different things. We tried putting them, trying to put a whole bunch of plastic plants in there and then get the babies out of there. And then by talking to a few people down in Florida and overseas, we came to the idea that we're going to try to pop up hampers like Rob's just said. And I say they're probably about what, Rob's, 18 inches around?
They vary because pop-up hampers are done anywhere. Some are square, some are round. You just got to make sure that they're tall enough to go from the bottom of the trough to the top of the surface. Other than that, it doesn't.
Yeah, because what we would do is I think we bought our pop-up hampers from the local Walmart maybe, and I put a large rock at the bottom and hold it down to the bottom.
Yeah, because it's fabric, it floats.
Yeah, so we put a large rock at the bottom, and this may sound a little crazy, but I throw in 10 males and 100 females. You don't have to worry about water quality because you've got 300 gallons of water.
And you're still doing consistent water changes in these bigger vats. You can do a trickle system. We can get into that in another podcast, but it's essentially just a continuous water change.
Yeah, and so we had this pop-up hamper. It stuck up about 2 inches higher than the top of the tank, which was great because they will jump. And so it's probably without the water, maybe 4 or 5 inches. Kept the fish in there. And we were taking out all kinds of babies. And then I was talking to somebody down Florida, and they said, well, do you cover your tank? I go, what do you mean? For evaporation or so they don't jump? He says, no, because even though you have all these babies swimming around in this tank, they still will go towards the parents. And if they go back into that big hamper, which they usually can, then they'll get eaten. So what we did, we went out and bought another 7, and these were 5 by 8 sheets of styrofoam that we bought.
And these are normally used for like bathroom insulation. They're just literally paint sheets of styrofoam.
About a half inch thick. Yeah.
They're not loose. They're sealed, so there's not going to shake. It's not like in actual insulation, just foam.
Yeah, and this foam that Rob's just described has a sheet of plastic on one side because they're made for vapor barrier or a bath.
They're very cheap. You can just take a box cutter, cut it to fit the entire surface of your cabin trough.
Yeah, and we would just, so then we started covering them up. And so here is my favorite. This is my favorite breeding project I ever did. I'd come over to my warehouse, and I would lift the top of the first vat and start scooping babies off the surface of the water. And there would be days I would scoop 300 to 500 babies off of one of the 70 kids.
So when I started doing this, you got me into this, and I really wanted to do different models. I had a selection of various models, so I bought over 200.
Yeah.
And I had a 300-gallon vat, so that allowed me for 3 baskets in the middle to completely fill with fish. So again, we started them out. We had lights. Again, they're not completely deprived of light all the time, but you start them out definitely having some light. They start breeding. Once you start seeing babies, cover it up. I started from getting 10 babies the day I covered it up, and during a 24-hour period, 80 babies. And when you open it up, you have these LED flashlights. You kind of spotlight them, and that's really a lot of fun. You spotlight them to get a net, and then you have baby baskets floating in this trough, so you just put the babies in the basket, and you come bring up the growth.
Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Just you're scooping babies. You think you've got them all, but there's another 10 in this corner, another 20 in this corner. And it is so much fun grabbing all those in the basket.
So this works for most libraries. Again, platies, mollies, swordfish, and guppies. You just got to make sure that the basket suits the size needs of the fish. Guppies are a lot smaller. You can use the baskets. Swordtails grow very big. You have to have either stick 2 baskets together or make sure you go in a big basket to give them enough comfortable space to come in. You don't want to take them.
Yeah, just adjust your numbers per basket. But we found that with the guppies and stuff, if we gave them good water quality and stuff, them being in that basket, we had no problem with them still getting larger every day and still growing and being healthy and happy.
It was a great experience. So with these babies, again, now we have all these babies we grow them. So that's where, oh man, I have all these babies growing. I can't keep them in the baby basket, and then we go back to the pet store and buy another tank. So then I'll grow a tank, and we'll be able to give them to friends, sell them to a pet store for a low cost, and the pet store don't mind getting fresh product.
Oh, I love getting stuff from
So it's great. So again, you take them out, they're in the basket until they get at least controlled enough of it. Easier for transport, so you can move them to another tank without risking that.
Yeah, we like to get them up to a decent size, probably to a quarter inch or more.
Then you move them into a growth tank, and normally what you do is there's 2 different foods. We always encourage using brine shrimp. Brine shrimp are excellent for young fish, but live bears have a certain size that egg-bearing fish don't necessarily have with the first one. So these small guppies will actually eat powdered crushed flake if you so choose. But what I recommend is there's a product called Aquarium Baby Food. You can find it on Amazon, and it's literally powder to give to the baby guppies, and they will absolutely eat it. It's a little bit dirty. You have to do extra water change when you apply this at first. But start with the powder, then you can move the crushed flake, and again, since you and I are doing it in batches, you have the greatest idea. He took a Parmesan shaker, crushed up pile flakes, and put it in a Parmesan shaker. He just made sure to feed these guys whenever he walked by, because they eat all the time. He's trying to grow them out. So he'd just be sitting there, what are you doing? But look at these peppering the damn tank.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I didn't realize you noticed that. I would go out and buy Parmesan shakers like you see at Pizza Hut.
You get like 4 of them for $1 at $1.
Yeah, and that's the only place to get them is the dollar store, because we were trying to order them online and they are not cheap at all.
Yeah, so shout out to the dollar store. We use it everywhere in the hobby. There's all different types of caves, craftable plasticware. It's just a really great place to get that bottle containers and stuff.
And the other thing that works really well too is, especially if you got like a baby fish, if you take the salt and pepper shaker, you can just take a drill and drill those holes a little bit bigger or whatever size you're feeding. You see you're feeding pellets. It's just easier to put them in the salt and pepper shakers for me, because I'm feeding a lot of tanks. So it's just much easier to have that where you can feed 20 tanks and not have to continue put your fingers in the food. Because when you put your fingers in the food, that food absorbs the oil from your fingers, and that will not help your fish growth at all.
So there's a rule of thumb: omega-3 fish oil is good for humans. Omega-fat human oils like humans' greasy fingers or chicken KFC on them, probably not the best thing to a catfish.
No, I mean, and that's exactly, if you want to catch a catfish in the face. But yeah, when I went down to Florida one time and I was watching them feed, and they had plastic gloves on. And I'm thinking, why do you have plastic gloves on? It's just fish food, And they said, no, you don't want your fish, you don't want your human oils on the flip. It will not help the fish at all. Actually, in terms of growing it, yes.
Whatever helps. It's the tiny things that make the difference, right?
Absolutely. The other thing I want to throw out, too, that I saw in Florida for the first time is when you go into your pet store, you'll see that they have a bunch of nets. And they'll have the nets in a pail with some disinfectant so you don't spread disease from tank to tank to tank. When I went to Florida the first time, I was turning, I believe it was 5 feet, if I remember right. And I looked over there, and what they had a Rubbermaid container that was probably about 4 foot long with about 6 inches of water. All their nets were laying in sideways, 100% submerged in this disinfectant. And I said to him, I said, why do you do that? He said, well, I have to realize that all these fish nets that are made, they've got that twisted wire. And just because you're soaking the net in the solution, you've still got 6 inches of twisted wire, which carries all kinds of cruddy stuff from other tanks. And he said, what we found out, he said, now we don't, if we haven't taken it down with it, we're not transferring it anymore because we have the nets 100% submerged.
Yeah, dumping it.
Dumping it. But it's 100% dumped now, it's 75%. So with my pet stores, I always encourage them, I always tell them that story. If you could just 100% submerge that net, it would help you out tremendously.
So going into the more detail, we covered breeding. Breeding is real simple with these guys, and there's nothing for breeding. It's not like another fish where you have to make sure you do water change, make sure you have all this stuff set up for them, make sure that you have a certain temperature, make sure you're feeding them to that stuff. They'll just screw all the time,
all day long.
And if they're not screwing, they're sick, and you got to address the fish. Period.
One of my salespeople, Julie, she says, shout out to Julie at Sabres Farms. Yeah, it's a good Florida. And what Julie always says is, you can read those damn things in the toilet. Quote, unquote.
Well, I feel like that's coming too close to a real example she's had.
Julie grew up in Cheapers. It wasn't Florida, it was a neighboring state, and she grew up on a fish farm. And so she has been in the business for her entire life. She has a wealth of information, and I love it.
I just feel like you offered her some money because you were already, when you lived in Florida before, when you were in your 20s, you're like, you know what, I'm already $8,000 down. I want to see someone breathing in the toilet just to make fun of me.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of Florida stories we can talk about. We'll save that for a later podcast.
Fine. Make me. So, going into this, the habitats vary a little bit for guppies, and the veil-tail versions of all the other ones are different. You get a veil-tail have extra points to the tail or just more tail overall. So you got to make sure that anytime you have a long fin fish, like a fancy guppy, that you have soft decorations or make sure that you do not have spine points. And to give you an example, if you get the classic Walmart, you'll see what looks like a pine, that's kind of an imitation hornwort. That is the absolute worst thing they do. They swim by, it gets caught, they tear, and they immediately start getting infections and fungus. So be very aware of the decor you're getting. And if you're going to get a cave, because guppies do love caves, all these fish will use a cave. Make sure that if you're taking your hand in one of the full surface, because even if it looks smooth, dipped, or gloss, or plastic, if there's a rough corner, damn it, that fish is going to find it and do a big old fat tear through its fin.
Yeah, a tear fin will, just like Rob just said, turn into a fungus, into a bleeding ulcer, all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen to these things. So you want to keep these fish as healthy as possible. Other thing you want to consider is their tank mates. And when I say tank mates, I mean the other fish that you carry in your tank. But we all know what tiger barks do, big, pretty, nothing things.
So when we go over, because there is professional made lists, and we can actually we should publish one on our website for our listeners. Come to think of it, is a compatibility fish list, and that's our goal. By next episode, I'm going to do my best to create a compatibility fish list. But these are published with a lot of research backing, and there's essentially 4 different aggressions of fish. Black bears, more or less, are peaceful. For at least these 4 that we're talking about, there's other black bears. We'll go over these later. But these are peaceful fish. They're not going to attack other fish, and they're they excel in community tanks. But again, like Jim said, we have the semi-aggressive, which they may not be aggressive, but they'll pick just because it's part of their species. Barbs, not terribly aggressive, but when they see something flutter, their natural reaction is to try to pick it, because that's their instinct for hunting. They'll see something like a scrap of food or whatever else, and they'll grab a fish. Barbs, more or less the entire family are known as being pickers. So if you have that beta or you have a guppy, make sure you do not have a barbie.
Yeah, if you do have a barbie tank, a lot of people like the tiger birds. As I do, I like tiger birds. You almost need to keep, if you're going to try, if you've got one tiger barb in your tank that you just love and it's picking on another fish, try this. Get 3 more tiger barbs. It's generally when the 4 of these will chase each other around all day and irritate the crap out of each other and leave the guppies alone. Not always, but I have had it work before.
And do your homework on fish. Guppies, you can have just a couple, and they will be completely happy. They're not going to particularly school. There'll be a gob of guppies in the tanks from the directions, but they're not. They can live with or live without each other. They're completely happy with just a couple. Barbs, they're schooling fish. They do better in groups of 16.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the tiger barbs also are a wonderful thing to breed. We'll talk about those also in another podcast. Because I was one of my first trips to Florida, I got to go see how they professionally create all the tiger birds that you see in this pictures. Be it your PetSmart, your Petco, your Walmarts, they all kind of come from the same area. I've met the breeders and see how they do it. People, they make it look simple, but they create thousands and thousands and thousands of tiger birds.
So again, when you're looking for tank mates, make sure you're trying to do the best you can with peaceful tank mates. And what are some of the common things you'll see? So I love picking up on Walmart. So you go to Walmart tanks and you see them for something. Cichlids, not a good choice, because cichlids are in the aggressive. There's peaceful, semi-aggressive, aggressive, and what I call extreme psycho fish. I've had a lot of psycho before. They're fun, like piranhas. They bite off your finger if they're above the water. It's not one of those docile things you see on Discovery Channel. If they're eating, and they're not going to bite you out of, I'm going to eat your hand. They're going to bite you out of the gloves.
Yeah, we sold a lot of piranhas back in the day, and a red-bellied piranha, yeah, they're aggressive. They have sharp teeth, and they love to chop goldfish in half. But do this, if you have a piranha, I mean, you've got friends that had a piranha, you throw me 6 goldfish, everybody stands around waiting for them to eat them. And what happens? Nothing. It hides back behind there, waits till it goes off, and it eats all the goldfish. There's many different types of piranha. And the one that I had one time, it was given to me by somebody who just couldn't take it. I was given a black piranha, which is very rare, very hard to find, which I still have it. And he passed away half a year. But I wouldn't, if I dropped a net in his tank, there's no way that I would have anything. If I dropped a net in a red aggressive tank, I'd keep an eye out, but I can do that.
So again, peaceful, semi-aggressive, and aggressive. You want to stay completely in the peaceful range and make the community tank. So the bad tank, once again, any type of the what we call sharks, that's a semi-aggressive. And again, that's just because sharks get huge. People shouldn't have sharks in a pet store without warning. You need to have a minimum of 125 gallon tank. They grow very big and surprisingly quickly. Other bad ones are Oscars, part of the cichlid family, very aggressive. I'm trying to remember excellent tank mates for any peaceful tank or some semi-aggressive tanks. Holy blues.
Yes, love it.
They're been approved. Tetras, as long as they're the smaller docile tetras, neon tetras, glow light tetras, even some ember tetras. There's a big long list of tetras. Most tetras will go through. Larger tetras, like Congo tetras, they're semi-dimensional enough in there. So the peaceful varieties of tetras. What's the other one? Loaches. As long as they're not the big yo-yo loaches, they're peacefully beautiful loaches to grab. A single beta will completely leave guppies, swordtails, mollies all alone.
Versatile people is also a good one. And the reason I like the versatile people ones is because they don't get big. And people don't realize how big a regular Florida people will fit.
So for the normal players, when they get a play, they think alligator, which is not the correct name. The Walmart play or the Florida play. Those platforms get huge. We've benefited from them where they wild range these things on rivers because we've got they are as long from your shoulder to your fingertip. And I think 6'1" man, they're not small.
When we were down in Florida once upon a time, we were over at Norton Temple Game Fisheries, which has now been purchased by Seagus Farms. And they raise a lot of tiger barbs, a lot of plecos, a lot of things. I asked Paul Norton at one time, I said, hey Paul, we're touring the place and they had probably about 75 ponds at the time. I said, Paul, how big do plecos really get? And I've seen some 10, 12 inches. He goes, hold on, Jim, I'll take a quick swim here and show you. So Paul this man was in his 70s at the time, and he jumped in the pond, which is about 5 foot deep, and he started feeling around the bank. And plecos breed in the mud banks. They dig a hole in the bank and do that. Paul reached in, I could see he was fighting something. He lifted up a pleco, like Rob's just said, and that was almost 3 foot long, and I bet you it weighed 10 to 12 pounds.
And people always say, well, the fish only grow to the size of their habitat. You know what? I'm not going to lie. That's true. They only will grow to the size of their habitat if they stunt and the organs do not stop growing. So this fish, they should have a nice, long, healthy life, but shorter and only lives a year and a half because it wants to grow 3 feet, and now it's stuck in a 10-gallon aquarium.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I like to go back to the bristlefish, which is probably the
4 inches. That's a big bowl.
Yeah,
you see a 4 inch.
That's a big one. And they also, what I like about the bristlenose plecos especially, is the males get beautiful whiskers on them. And I just came over here to Studio B here to Rob's house, and I stopped to say hello to his wife, and I looked at his tank upstairs. He's got a beautiful, beautiful, large male bristlenose pleco albino. It's white. His whole face is got all kinds of whiskers coming out of it. And I said, it's NASA. I said, hey, I've got a girlfriend for again. I'm going to bring him over. She goes, yeah. Because Rob's has got some plecos going over at his house.
I agree. Maybe has a long history of not being able to successfully breed a lot of plecos. All I have to do is just play some Marvin Gaye. It just happens in this household.
Everybody loves some Marvin Gaye.
So again, tank mates, same as peaceful zones. Don't be afraid of being shrimp, but don't get what they call blue lobsters. Anything that they can technically grab will eat. So if you have a sleeping guppy, it will just disappear.
Yeah. My next breeding project, and Rob and I talked about this a little bit. I've been doing a lot of shrimp nowadays. And the next thing we're going to do now is my wife wants the Mexican dwarf crayfish, and now have, of course, an orange and blue.
And the Mexican dwarf crayfish versus these blue lobsters,
yes,
is size. Because the Mexican dwarf crayfish look at a little bit larger traditional crayfish versus the crayfish, which are actually just 90 inches.
Yeah. And the little dwarf crayfish, over at my store where we sell them, I actually like to keep them in the feeder guppy tank. We have 500 feeder guppies in the tank, and of course you lose 1 or 2, and they lay on the bottom. And there's nothing more irritating when a customer comes in and says, hey, we have a dead fish. Every pet store owner is saying that.
And you do your best. I mean, the stores that we supply, they do their best. They do take fish out. They monitor it. But it's only given that they have other stuff to do. So if the fish dies, customer sees it.
Yeah, and what I like about those, these are feeder guppies, they're tiny. Those little Mexican dwarf crayfish, it's 3 or 4 of them will come over and eat them up.
They make them disappear for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, and so I, like Rob's just said, they're a great cleanup tool.
They'll definitely go through just a handful of restrictions in a pet store. We'll definitely go through before they even have time to take their clothes and pack out.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We'll have a whole podcast on water quality. That's a whole other issue. Some of the best ways to give to anybody. Let's say you're having some trouble with your fish. You've got plant kids. You've ruled out this or that and the other thing, disease. If you take and do a 30% water change every couple of days, you'll see a big surprise in how much better the fish do.
So back to the take and choose. So we talked about keeping it in the fridge, but out of this list, platies and mollies both get a decent size. So we'll get 3 inches. We're going to be a decent size, but the swordtails, in good growing patterns, they're larger than the other 3 inches. So when you have swordtails, they'll get. I've seen a single male swordtail. And I'm not talking from mouth to the very tip of the sword. We're talking from the base of the sword. So where the sword starts up to pretty thin, probably a good 7 inches.
Yeah, they're very hard to find. I believe at one time somebody told me, and don't hold me to this, but I think it's like 10 out of every 5,000 fish get that big. And so, like, I have some suppliers that know I want the extra large swordtails. I just got some here about 2 weeks ago. The males come in, they're probably 5 inches, they're as thick as your thumb, and then add another 3 inches of sword on there. And they're cleaning out their system. And what I mean system is they have a large vat that holds all the water. These fish have gotten in there somehow, and all the food and all the other water from tanks flow into this and flow out. And they got trapped in there and have been eating, and nobody knows how long they've been in there. And they called and said, "Hey, I've got like 25 of these." And I said, "I want more." And they came in, they're big and they're beautiful. They didn't pay much more than a normal price in the circuit. I was able to retail it for a really good amount.
So I like to put like a ratio. It's probably like 40% where you're getting your breeder, and the rest is conditions. Food matters, so typically a lot of live food, and these guys they're supposed to have a high protein diet, but they'll end up getting some algae, especially the mollies as well. So again, surroundings and conditions. People pawn these swordtails to grow absurd sizes. And these are just small, normally Walmart based.
Yeah.
Keep this as an example. Swordtails and just the environment. So when you're doing these, I recommend minimum of 40 gallons of swordtails. Won't you work for just a few of these mollies?
One of my friends, kids, lives over near Fargo, North Dakota. And just to give you an idea, we have basically about 3 or 4 months of summer. We don't have a long pond season whatsoever. He took and put a dozen swordtails into his pond. That's all I had in there was swordtails. He thought, this is about 2-3 years ago. It's my experiment. This is what I'm going to try. He called me, I want to say like in October. I said, "Hey, can you come over and help me catch these fish? You can have them. I just want them out of here before it freezes." The water temperature was 59 degrees. We brought out the most biggest, beautiful swordtails. I think we should have like maybe a dozen. About 200. I said, "What'd you feed on these?" "I was doing all summer to get them."
They're definitely farmable, and I mean that's fun. They have a lot of fun with these fish. They may not do it with swords, but that's what they do. A majority of other fish is they kind of feed fun. But no, as far as those breeds, there are some varieties in these. So you mentioned the letter-tail, additional tails that long tails. Swordtails, they have a newer variety that's been bred called vampire swordtails. Again, it's another pet sword term, someone's trying to sell them, but the blood red, the eyes are vampire. They have 2 tails sticking out the back, and they almost have like a slime coating on them that just deepens with rose color. They're very hard to find, but be careful when you're getting these type of styles. I mention these because they not only have extra tails, so be careful when you're playing, so use that conditions. But they're very sensitive to water changes. So when you order these, get them from the pet store, you bring them home. They are much more sensitive to water quality issues and are way more apt to get fungus across their bodies.
Yeah, the more that they I think hybridization. Is that what you say?
Well, I mean, that's what dogs are.
Yeah, I mean, the more you sit there and try to hybridization these things, the more that they have problems with it. They're not as hardy.
They're not as proven. They have their own issues. And I mean, dogs are the same way. A pug, it's got heart issues. It's got nasal cavity issues. Its face is squished. It's a lot of issues with leather for dogs. They feel the same way. That's why if you're getting corridors, salt and pepper bronze for albinos, which you get from say, a good farm in Florida. The albinos always have over time because it's just not essentially as hard as the different ones.
Yeah, and when you go to goldfish, let's just talk about fantail goldfish. Just the little ones that you see for $1 to $2 at your local store. The first one you're going to have trouble with, if your water quality is not where it needs to be, the first one that you're going to lose is going to be a black mold. Genetically, there's a weakness. They're going to have the hard way. So I have a tank of mixed, let's say, calico red fantails and black moors. All of a sudden, if you start using black moors, I have a problem. Immediately, the water changes and add more salt and problems.
So going into more of the breeds of swordtails, that's the one too which is vampires. So the beautiful, very difficult species. Mollies that have later television. They have sailfin mollies. All of these are hardy stump. They had this weird. I think it started. I don't know what started. The first time I saw it was probably 18 years ago, 15 years ago. Balloon mollies took it on. I don't know. You probably have more history. You've been doing this long. When did you start seeing balloon mollies?
Balloon mollies have been around for at least 20, 25 years. And that's another one, too. Amazonas Magazine just recently had articles on all these man-made fishes that they've done and done things to create a new fish for the hobby. There's only so many fish out there. So they try to create excitement to make the new fish.
So balloon mollies, just to give you that advice, please Google it. You'll get great images of a balloon molly. You'll get any of the normal variety of molly, sailfin, watertail, or original, but essentially they just are a third of the length of a normal molly, and they look like a giant ball. Essentially, you squish the molly and then pump them in there.
Yeah, it looks like they swallow the water.
Yeah, and they're all, some are actually perfectly circle.
Yeah,
and they swallow when they swim. And the biggest issue is you'll get in a batch. Say you got 50, right? You risk 20 right off the bat. The swim bladder issue is over a short period of time.
Yeah, once they're shipping these fish in, all these fish, I don't care where you're from. Most of these fish have been on an airplane in the last 2 weeks, and that will screw a fish up. We brought in some beautiful things over the past and stuff, but you will get pressure problems. These fish are put in a plastic bag with oxygen. They're put in a box. They put it on an airplane somewhere. It might be Sri Lanka, it might be Hong Kong, it might be Malaysia. It goes into Los Angeles or New York, goes to somebody's facility, it sits there for a day or two, it's rebagged, put back in, and put on another airplane and flown to wherever's closest to you. We're closest to Minneapolis and Fargo, North Dakota. They come in. Now, these fish come in, they're jet-lagged, they're beat up, and you got to be careful with them because they've already taken quite a beating. So most of these fish then are immediately sold to pet stores, and so they've been handled 4 or 5 times in the last, say, week or 10 days, and so there's a lot of bladder issues with them that cannot breathe properly, or the pressure in the airplane was not correct. It happens quite often.
So again, we worry for those, and I'd like to start the conversation between the platy and variatus. So there's 2 different species essentially of platy, and this has been a debate for a lot of different people, especially for newer people that have been in the hobby. There's the southern platyfish, and then the Variatus platyfish. They are 2 species. They're very similar. They do have normally distinct variations between them, but the ones that we've seen now, no matter where they're bred from, I have not seen a full Variatus that has been documented from many years ago. They're all hybridized.
Yeah, I agree. Most people will try to tell you that Variatus is a cross between the swordtail and the platy. Like Rob just said, that the Variatus was actually its own what do you want to call it, species. But there are a lot of varieties that are sold at Texas. Very beautiful. The marigold is my favorite. And there again, the keeping it is just like keeping a regular Clifton platy. You just want to keep it well fed and in good condition. And they are also live there. It's just very beautiful.
And it's again extremely subtle differences that they used to be, but now everything hybridized. It's a flat. So we can order profile pillows, say Varianus, and it's like flatty different SKUs. You order them in. There's no way to tell. There isn't. I know you order Varianus sometimes. I sell a lot of them actually. Yeah. I still have not been able to tell. See, they're all hybridized, man.
To me, they look like you're taking a platy and you're stretching a little bit. They have more the body of a sword tail. And I've had this over the years and stuff. I can pick them up.
That just makes me feel like that's possibly in front of the construction of the sword tail, because that happens.
I don't
happens a lot.
That's a lot of people claim. I've asked the fish farms and stuff, and never really gotten a straight answer.
Also, quick FYI there, don't have platies and sword tails together. Pick one, because they'll interbreed.
They will. If you want to have colors in your tanks and in your city, want 6 different colors, carry all females and carry all males, and then you'll stay solid with that color.
Man, I thought it was going to be a debate.
No, I mean, I get very honest and very cool, and I know you were kind of about it.
It was okay. I feel the same way. Here's another example. Right? I got a friend. Shout out to Mike Hayes. He is a killifish in Elders Library.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen, and he spends, at least used to spend, a bunch of money trying to get a hold of these Elders Libraries. I'm looking at them, like, what's going on? They look like a feeder guppy. They're tiny. They have just that little touch of orange, that barely any color you get for a feeder guppy. And again, feeder guppies are just essentially culls from normal guppies that are inbred to have. They're tiny size, they're meant for feeding. That's why. So, Elders Library is traditionally half the size of a guppy, and they are complete separate species, but no matter the cool colors and patterns you see, in my mind, it's a feeder guppy. Why would you buy it?
I don't, I got a good friend who's down to my water shop here, so Adam. Shout out to Adam. And he has got a wild strain of other guppies he's had for years, and he swears by it. He loves them, he kisses them, he hugs them.
We're going to have to get Mike and Adam.
Adam is going to be on this show. He doesn't know it yet. Adam's going to be on the show. Adam's a wealth of information. Adam's a previous pet store owner.
Well, we're going to take him hostage then.
And he is a breeder of a lot of different lizards. I don't like lizards, but Adam loves his lizards. So we'll get Adam on the show and talk about Edward Library, because he's got some incredible stuff down there. He's had them for years and years and years. It's his pride of stock. If you help some,
we'll do like a Jack Hanna thing. We'll have him on the show and we'll put animals on you. You don't on you.
Oh yeah, tarantulas and different things. That'd be fun.
You'll do
everybody.
You'll just start cussing.
I will keep f-bombing the entire.
I didn't know. I'm gonna order tarantulas. Carnies, for folks, smell like cabbage.
My ex-wife scares me a little bit.
Not a shot.
It's not a shout out. No, we're not shouting out. She'll drive over here. But she'll bring the paddle.
So I don't think we missed much as far as the forthcoming main libraries. They're very easy to do. And if you're going to start, the goldfish is an extremely hardy critter, and that's always the stereotypical. Let's start here. Goldfish, however, grow very big. I mean, 55-gallon aquarium, even those 25 centers you see at stores, they get 11 inches and sometimes bigger. They're carp. They will adapt to their environment, and again, they'll stunt. This goldfish lives for years. But they're shit machines.
Right. It's like having a Clydesdale in your tank.
They're the carp fish species have no stomachs. It's just one giant intestine. So they eat, and they can eat every 15 minutes, all day long, every 3 minutes, 24 hours a day.
Our local, not our local DNR, a local DNR down by Minneapolis just recently got a call, and I read that article several times. I think I sent it to you. And somebody reported they found a part of a river down towards Minneapolis that was, let's say it was drying up. And anyway, so they found, I think it was close to like 2,000 goldfish in the river in this area that was shut off from fresh water on both ends because a dry time or something like that, a drought. And they showed pictures, and all these goldfish that were in there were at least 6 or 7 inches. And there's, I want to say, 100 something.
Oh, they're huge. I explained last podcast that Jimmy and I accept all donated fish, just like the Ohio Fish Rescue. If there's a fish that you guys need to honor in this, or can reach out to us. Our number and contact info on the site. But people have donated the biggest, most common basic goldfish I got was 11.5 inches. And they said that if you put it in this Oscar tank with 8 other Oscars, just in a bag of about Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Feet, they left this one alone, and it grew up and started picking on the Oscars.
It became their friend, yeah.
He didn't go away. So he donated it to not, I'm just going to flush them. I'll take it. So this is a really weird deal. It wasn't fun to have giant fish that had so cheap. So I just listed on penfish. I made it on my computer on Photoshop and created a certificate of badassery for Bubbles the goldfish. Bubbles the goldfish.
Not a stripper.
Not a stripper. I figured that would be so I didn't want to call him Cinnamon the goldfish.
That's right.
Number one, you spell with the Y.
Oh, absolutely.
So I made a certificate of badassery certifying Bubbles the goldfish, and I also wrote up the whole story of how he came out of his hellish life living with predators his whole life and grew up to beat their asses. And I put on there that I have to find a specific person worthy of purchasing Bubbles the goldfish.
Beg me for this badass.
I put on there that Bubbles the goldfish and the framed certificate of badassery would go for no less than $10.12 in strictly change. A can.
Why $10.12?
A can of beef ravioli. Chef Boyardee, not the generic.
No,
ravioli.
not that.
A 20-ounce bottle of Diet Mountain Dew. I am a diabetic.
You are.
And a framed picture of the I had somebody message me within 20 minutes of the post saying, I'll get what you want. Let's meet up. And sure as shit, they delivered. I had a frame. It was like an 8x10 of Betty White in a friend book.
Oh, so that's where that came from in your bedroom.
Yes, that's exactly where that came
That
from.
story just came full circle.
Full circle.
That, hey, before I leave, I roll that head.
All yours.
Oh,
I need
my-
it back.
I like Betty White,
I
man.
need it back.
She is badass, Betty White.
So off topic. You have
Off topic again.
the 3 hottest women of all time. You got Scarlett Johansson.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
That's number 3.
Okay.
Margaret Robbie. Right.
Okay.
She's off the Suicide Squad.
Yes, okay,
Right.
I'm with you.
And then number 1 is Betty White. Okay. Not safe for work for notice. Spoiler here. Go on Google. Type in Betty White nudes, and you'll find like some 1950s Playboy
No
nudes.
kidding.
She shot for it, but I don't think they ever used them. They actually came out in public.
Wow.
Betty's got it going on.
I'm taking your word on that, and I'm going to go home and wash out my eyes with gasoline. Gasoline. Say so. I heard, here's a strange thing that I just heard. It's totally off topic, but
This is so off topic.
So this week I lost. Everybody that knows me knows I am a rock and roller. I love 80s rock. Love it. I've met Eddie Money, who just passed away this week, 70 years old of cancer. Met Eddie Money,
Condolences to the family.
and met Eddie Money so many times. Nothing but a class act. Nothing but a class act. Always gave us an autograph. Always gave us a picture. My brother and I ended up having drinks with him one night after a show in a bar. And here's something I read that was weird to me. So these stars will put out, rest in peace, Eddie Money, and you get things from like Peace Hanger and Twisted Sister and stuff. The one that threw me off today was, it said, I'm sorry to lose one of my best friends, Eddie Money, and I worked for him back in the day as a backup singer. You know who that person was? Maureen McCormick.
I was going to say Celine Dion.
No, Maureen McCormick. Marcia from the Brady Bunch saying,
Oh, I had no clue who that was
Oh,
until
my-
you had to translate.
I forgot that you're only 9 years old.
I did not know. And now that you said Marcia, I'm like, yeah, I've seen that.
Marcia Brady.
I was going to say, is she part of the McCormick Salt Shaker Company?
If she was, she'd probably be worth chasing because maybe there's some money there. But I've been watching the Brady Bunch through HGTV here recently about the Brady Bunch house was bought by HGTV for a lot of money, and they turned it into look just like the Brady Bunch.
I'd like to point out that Jim Colton is not retired.
I like. Who doesn't like Marcia Brady?
Well, that's strictly number 4 in this.
You probably think Alice is fine. You're probably wrong.
I'm not going to say who Alice, but we're
Yeah,
just gonna.
yeah. Her picture's right next to Betty White up here. There we go. So back on track.
Damn it. How dare you? That was a tangent.
That was, but that was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, so going further than the list that we have is there's a few others that we see somewhere, some details in the training. One that we see that's not common necessarily for hobbyists that I think is a fun fish, but has a lot of red flags. That's why it's not a hobby. The mosquito fish. The mosquito fish is the females look like a extra large female. It's just beautiful big female. They have generally dark tails, so they look like they have some color, and they're maybe 30% bigger than the big females would be. The males are quite small and they're black and they don't have the normal same body structure with a guppy, but they're beautiful as well. And what they do is these are super, super hardy fish that are live bearers and they multiply so fast. What they do with them is they're called mosquito fish because they put them in mosquito ponds down south that they can't drain. So when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, they had all of these pools and water everywhere that didn't dissipate, and they couldn't afford to go empty or take care of these pools and have like public city works with all this destruction they take out of it. So to prevent the mosquito population from exploding after the hurricane, they went to all these public pools and picked up and just dump a handful of mosquito fish in each pool. They breed on their own, and they eat all the mosquito larvae and they explode. So it's used to control mosquito population, but they really haven't done in the actual picture. You'll see them in ponds. People put them in koi ponds to keep the larvae down and find mosquito areas. You can purchase them from pond dealers, but they're not used because they're so crazy aggressive. If you have one female, she will rip apart everything in the tank. I've even seen them hit sickness.
Yeah, they are incredible little fish, and like you said, they're hard to find. I have gotten them for customers. The only place I've ever found them was from a goldfish breeder down south.
Yeah, pond dealers are the ones that have them, and they have them on for those city public works in Louisiana and down south. And I got one. The way I discovered them is I was younger, much younger. Went to a local pet store. I said, "Wow, that's a crazy sized female. That's a beautiful female. I need it." I purchased it, brought it home. I had a 50-gallon aquarium. That fish destroyed everything. It killed my Placo that was 8 inches. It ripped everything to shreds. They have teeth, like full-on teeth to pet cats.
Really?
They're insane. And I brought this thing back to my pet store, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And he looked at it like, it's a guppy, man. I'm like, he had it all in a tank along with just some feeders, so I'm probably hitting feeders. But I put it in his tank, and as we put it back in his tank, it started hitting the balls. In front of us. It was insane. He didn't even acclimate it, just started hitting them.
Wow, that's an aggressive fish.
So he did his homework and he found out that someone had the same issue and dropped it off. So we don't know where it came from. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing. I have ordered them in for. I did have somebody who had an issue that they wanted some mosquito fish. They bought something from me, and when they came in, they were very, very small. And so I never had any dealings with them. I got rid of them pretty quickly and stuff, and I saw him later on and stuff, and asked him how it worked. He said it was fine. That's all he really said. So he was putting them in his, I believe, cattle trough or something that he had, you know, for keep the bugs down. But a little part of history, I don't know if you knew this, but when they built the Panama Canal back in a long time ago.
Teddy Roosevelt said it.
Yes, and they used, that's where they're used a lot. They were out there in the when they were building Panama Canal back in the 50s or 60s.
I just remember it was Teddy Roosevelt because I did some schoolwork for him.
Really?
Yeah, so you paid attention. I was just a little bit. I can't enough to remember the year.
But yeah, I remember watching some documentary on stuff. They were putting mosquito fishing in the ditches to try to control the mosquitoes because it's all in the area.
So we definitely keep populations down.
And now we just spray with Roundup and kill everything.
So again, they're used in certain controlled areas, but they're also highly invasive. They're small enough where a lot of local species will eat them. But if it's a pond, it'll hit frogs.
So
It won't kill frogs, but it'll certainly hit tadpoles.
yeah, tadpole is another great thing that we get in the whole fish once in a while. And that is kind of fun too to watch. We do podcasts on tadpoles.
And then he eats the legs like his French ass does.
I am not French.
Oh, let me get that close. Oh.
Exactly.
All right, so going beyond steelfish and all the nutrients, the ones that I
Oh,
these
no,
are the
not
oddballs.
these.
I love oddballs.
Not these.
I'm all about oddballs.
We need to talk about these, really?
We do. You're a bread and butter guy, right? You're fish breeding, you wholesale. Me, I love the roots.
You like the freaks.
If it was just discovered in science, I need it. Right?
Exactly.
I need to learn more about it. I need to publish anything I can find from a hobbyist standpoint. I need to get it learning. So the ones that you don't see in pet stores are wrestling half-beaks, and they're so fun.
Very seldom you see them.
So there's a whole different subspecies of wrestling half-beaks, but the ones that we get are essentially they're white wrestling half-beaks. They're real small. They only grow about 2 inches, and literally they look like tiny pike. Just itty bitty tiny baby pike, like a little wing-nosed guard. And the bottom jaw is stuck out like a needle, and it's 50% longer than the top jaw. So what you'll see is these are live bears again. They'll have the fish penis.
But not a podium.
Thank you. And
Wait.
the wing chunks. And again, same issue. You want one male, 2 females. But the males in a mating display will interlock their beaks and wrestle back and forth. And they do not harm each other in the process. Some bigger things do, but these small ones will grasp on each other and wriggle back and forth to fight. And whoever loses gets kicked out, and the male gets the bigger finishes. Wow. It's a really fun process to watch these things. The only problem with these and why they're not so popular is they're very pretty. They're white with specks on the tail. They're very small, tiny fish. And they don't pick on a lot of others. They're very peaceful fish. They're just wrestling with themselves. They're exclusively the top column of the tank. They're going to hunt back and forth. They're waiting for flies or bugs to drop or larvae on the surface. So they'll hunt all day up top. And the moment you put flakes up, or the moment that some guppy breeds, they'll hunt the leaves.
They love little stuff, yes. I've had one of my friends again was Adam. Adam would used to always watch the old wrestling companies. And what do you do with them? You know what I mean? Ask him. So we have them on the show.
And they're decently expensive. You can certainly go to your local pet store and ask for these fish. They're a fantastic fish for starter people, but remember, it's just the top. So imagine for your community tank when it's a peaceful tank. And they're a fantastic fish to add to the top column of their water. And there's really not anything past care. They follow the care of the traditional live bears. They got to know not to have too many males because they're going to wrestle, and it's going to be fun to watch.
So Rob, I am not up on my wrestling half-week information. How many babies do they have?
I've had, because I've only done it from my experience, and again, these are just what we call the golden wrestling half-weeks. They're very small. I've had 10. They're lower batches. I've had up to 20.
Really? How big are they? Are they the size of a baby guppy? Or?
Exactly the same size as a baby guppy, and I treat them the same way as a baby guppy. They stay in the middle column, if they got just a little bit bigger and richer in color, don't put it to the top column they went, but they hit just like a good baby guppy.
So how long did it take to get them up to size? I mean, do they grow fast or do they grow slow?
I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't love them so much when I saw them. I sold them all when done.
Oh, so you just abandoned them like a bad father.
People offered me cash. You can't look at those things and not say, like, no, cash is beautiful, innocent bills and leave in my wallet.
That's right. They all pulled up some nice
So
little
nice. They smell like cheap dinner things.
You know what? The last time I went there, it was awesome. I took my son out, who was in his 20s, and we had breakfast with him.
If you wanted to go to IHOP, but you were being a dick.
Yeah, that did it. $36 for breakfast. Oh, $36. Oh, $4.50 for the orange juice?
You were in the wrong business, sir.
I know. I'm selling cookies for a nickel. What's my problem?
So the last one I want to go over, and this was,
Is this the freaky one?
this is the freaking.
Oh, I don't want to.
I did this
This
on
one
my
scares
research. It scared the shit out of you big time.
I don't
You
like
wouldn't
it.
even grab the bag when it
I
came
don't
in.
like these.
So I did a bunch of research, and I told you last podcast that I got my house from my grandmother. My grandmother gave me all her notes in a bunch of really old aquarium books that she just came with the notes on the species in. And I'll fucking bring the book to the podcast here soon. And everything. I cherish the book.
What was your grandmother's name?
Arlene Lewis.
Arlene.
Right. And she
Well, does she pose for Playboy like Betty White?
I don't want to know.
Okay.
I don't want to know.
Okay, because if you want to buy some naked pictures of your grandma.
Thanks, Jimmy. I'm glad I was unprepared for that.
Blindsided.
Blindsided.
Okay,
So,
back down.
anyways, they had this crazy fish, and all she wrote on it was "do not get." And underlined it 3 times in big bold. She you could see it's all in pencil. So she took the pencil and rewrote over the words "do not get."
So what did that mean to you when it says do not get? What did you think to yourself?
That's a challenge. That's where I could beat Grandma. Damn it, my grandma's good at this shit. She's breeding betas and all kinds of crazy crap.
Don't be beating your grandmother. Pretty soon we've
I
got
mean-
social services
Oh
out
no, it's a competition.
Oh, competition.
The moment the student can pass the teacher,
Yeah. I thought you
I'll
were
never
punching her in the throat or something.
no. So I kept this in mind. I've done a ton of research and I couldn't find any of these things.
Yeah.
And then
Where'd you find some?
later down the road, I met this guy named Jim.
Stud?
And Jim
Was he a
opened
stud?
my world to the wholesale propaganda that is fish market. And guess what came up on one of the sales?
What's that?
From Florida. Florida. Anableps, also known as the four eyes. Yes, this is going to be a very hard one to Google. You can Google four eyes, you're going to get crazy results. But Anableps is spelled Anableps. Anableps is a very rare in trade live bear that grows a foot long. And it's exclusively, it's like I call it a fish fry. They are a cork that sits at the top of the water, and they're shaped like a normal silver long-bodied fish, but their head turns up like a dolphin, and they have these really giant Google eyes on top of their head, and they have 2 pupils per eye. So one looks down in the water, and the other looks above the water like it's a frog. It is the craziest, cutest, most adorable thing you have ever seen in your life.
They freaked me out.
So what they do is they require a very niche tank, if you will. It's not even a tank, it's not this thing. It's a very
Shoebox.
interesting setup to keep these things in. Because again, they're a foot long, but they dive down like a dolphin and they splash and play. They play all day long and they grab food on their phone. It's the most adorable shit. When you walk in the room, they'll turn over to you, and all you see is a bunch of eyeballs sticking out the water.
It's kind of like bats at Scooby-Doo in the cave.
It is the cutest shit.
And that's cool. That's grandma.
So I don't care what they cost. I had to have them. I bought a bunch of them. And I got 6 of them.
They weren't cheap either.
They were not cheap,
Not cheap.
but I didn't care. I needed at least 6 to try my experiment. So I got the things and I put them in the kiddie pool. The reason I put them in the kiddie pool is they only exclusively live on the top of the water. So who cares what the depth? As long as they have, say,
Surface area.
4 inches of water, they're happy. It just needs surfacing. So I got 6 of these guys in there, and they're football, and they're playing all day. They dip dive. They're the funnest thing.
Dip, dive, and dodge.
Dip dive and dodge. They're like little freshwater dolphins. And if they
But they're
have
not cute.
if they have an issue or they're scared, they'll go hide underneath the water in the corner. And the moment that they see that it's disappeared or they feel comfortable, they'll pop back up and pop with like a mongoose in the water. It's the cutest shit ever. Not a lot of people
You're
have.
killing me here, Schmaltz.
Not a lot of people have these, so there's not a lot of information out there. So I will give you my experience that I've learned. They love pellets. And you'll have to train them on whatever food, because wherever they got them, who knows what the hell they did fed them. Because trust me, the people that have these, unless you're a farmer, and trust me, these are not really got from farms unless they're South American, no one has a clue. They just take them. Hopefully someone buys them and they don't have to get a hatching. So no Florida people keep these on hand. They're bred in South America where they're originally caught. So you grab have them on pellets because pellets are nice and visible. And they float on top of the water. And you grab them and bring them down and pop up with them and play with the pellets. Cue the shit out of them. So I use pellets. I'm assuming you can use live food, but again, everything has to be surface oriented. It's not flopping on the surface and shit them up. When you're sinking, you can use flake. They have to see it. Pellets are the thing to go.
You think they hit on live crickets? Live crickets?
Yes. In fact, I had some crickets that I was selling to people that have lizards. I threw them in there, gone. Anything surface that'll wiggle on top, they'll hit.
So did you go skinny dipping in the pool? I just want to know if they hit everything.
Because there wasn't enough room. I'm a big dude.
I know you're a big dude. I
I mean,
mean,
that and who knows, the fight scene.
right. Yeah.
Whatever you called the fish units before.
I got a point.
So look these guys up, and blood time labs. But the breeding animals are really interesting. They're big, but they only have 6 pups. That's how I like to put these things. They're not real fish. They stay by mom and dad. It's real weird, and they're born huge.
Don't they also like stingrays? Don't they call those pups also?
Yeah, but that's because it's coming from a shark species. This is actual fish species.
No way.
Right. I just call them pups because it's a completely weird
So this is something
behavior. It's something I made.
Okay.
But the only common, like, when they breed, they only do up to like 6. But their penis, you call
Got a point.
right, it's huge. It's like take your index finger, that's it.
So this is the Johnny Holmes.
It's not as big, it's as long as the index finger underneath. It's not as big as your finger around. But they stick up above, and females and males have their genitalia positioned either to the left or to the right. And this is very crucial when you're trying to pick out anableps, or because you have to overscan it, just so you have total breeding.
Really?
If you have a male with its penis to the right, you have to have a female with its stroke to the left. Otherwise, they can't breed.
No, you're just making this up.
I'm not making
You're
this
making
up.
this up. You can look it up. This shit's on Wikipedia. So this is like NASCAR. You pass on the left, and you're hoping that.
Right, they're holding the gas cans there on the right.
You are out of your freaking mind.
Same deal. So if you have a female with something right, if a male is going to left. That's why I got 6, and that's all I'm going to do. Because I was lucky enough to have one male compatible with 2 females.
Okay. I just got a quick question here. How does one check if one's got a podium hangs left or right? Just curious.
So when you see the fish, you can actually see a position of the body, or it's either to the left or to the right. It's kind of like I don't know how to explain it, a kickstand on a bicycle.
So if you view them from the top, it's probably the easiest way.
No, you have to view them from a tank of the bag. You'll see it kind of positioned to the left or right.
And you can, or buy scuba gear.
Scuba gear. You have to have them in a fish tank to do them, or you take them out in a net. You can see it.
It's so damn weird.
It's so fun. If you can find a kiddie pool, you filter it right, have heat, it's a very complex way to take care of fish that just need service area. My favorite fish of all time.
Oh my god, that was incredible and creepy as well.
It's just big, giant, googly eyes looking at you. You can't help but go, oh my god, it's so cute!
You need to be life.
So not for the, I don't know, I wouldn't say advanced, but definitely an intermediate fish. Do not start with an anableps. Number one, good luck finding them. It took me years.
You know, your birthday just went by here recently, and I wish I'd have known how much you were in love with this googly-eyed fish.
I love my favorite fish.
I would have bought you that and an arowana and a big red-tailed catfish and fed them all with a big red-tailed catfish.
Oh, come on now. That hit low.
That was a long story.
You can talk about my grandma naked, but don't talk about my arowana getting eaten.
Yeah. Wow. Where do we go from here? We must be wrapping this up pretty soon.
That would be the list. There are other live bears out there, but again, it's a very niche species, and it's just really nice that we can have colorful fish out there that people can start with. And it's a great, if you want to try breeding, this is the fish to do it. You get the concept of how intricate the small ones are, how to transport them, temperature needs. It just gives you a more comfortable, easy feel to start breeding on.
You know, we know so many advanced hobbies. So many. Peter Robbins and I, we know so many people that are into fish so deep. Here's the secret. They all keep tanks of live bears for their children. Because here's what they want to do. They want to keep their children involved. They want them to have their own tanks. My friend Sean lives down south. He has got multiple tanks with his children, and they raise all kinds of different things that the kids do. And he's really into all kinds of other different fish. But like he said, I want my kids to come down to hear their own tanks, and then they'll gain a love for this other stuff that's going on. It's not hard. There's great ways, and we'll do low tech tank care. We'll do information of tanks on budget. We do ghetto ass tanks. Oh, there's so much content that we need to do in this. We just got to dive in one episode at a time, dude. Deep dives. So again, what we want you to do is we're going to be setting up a Facebook page and a Twitter. We're going to get Jimmy over here tweeting stuff all the time. Gonna pop out his ass and be like, I'm going to pull one of those. What's a tweet? And we'll get there. First you asked what's a podcast, and now we're here. I know. I when you promised me nachos and beer, I'm like, okay, I'm in. You're in. That's right. If Joe Rogan can be beating tea and whiskey, we can at least do nachos and beer. That's right. Absolutely. But the point is, go to our website, aquariumguyspodcast.com. Share this with your friends, subscribe, and we want to know. You can send us an email. We have our contact information at the bottom of the site, or leave us a voicemail with our telephone number and we'll answer questions on the site. We want to know, what do you want to hear about? We know extensive people throughout the hobby. What do you need to know about in the hobby? What podcast should we do? Absolutely. If you love this podcast, let your friends know. If you think it sucks, keep it to yourself. We don't. No. Oh yeah, we're like ducks. It just rolls off our backs.
You making fun of Rob's grandma being naked? That was inappropriate. I just don't. We don't want to hear it. Oh God. All right, guys. Well, that concludes our podcast. Thanks so much. And just a quick reminder for Ohio Fish Rescue. Good time to go on our chicken and fish. So we don't have to finish our lesson screens. The worst is take for music.
Yeah, please take the time. Send them your love. Send them a little money. Whatever you can do. If they're doing the right thing, they're great guys.
Buy a t-shirt. All right. Podcast out. All right, guys, welcome to the podcast. We're going to start off with our charity of choice, Ohio Fish Rescue. Ohio Fish Rescue is a fantastic organization. They are not for profit. They try to save